information, and we will be bringing you all that information here on Good Morning Uganda. But for now, we delve into the local news stories.
Well, and we'll begin with exactly the story that we've been discussing, where yesterday reports reached our newsroom that the suspected ADF rebels had killed 2 tourists and their guide who was driving in Queen Elizabeth National Park in Kasese district. The UPDF spokesperson, Brigadier General Felix Kulaije, confirmed the incident, saying the military is pursuing the attackers. The tour vehicle was also burnt. The incident is said to have happened at 6 p.m. along Katwe Road between Lake Nyamunuka and Katwe Kabatoro Town Council. Meanwhile, the mayor Katwe Kabatoro, John Bosco Kananura, who was traveling back from Katurugu learning sites, bumped into the confirmed scene and said he saw the car burning and 3 bodies were lying in a pool of blood. He called for vigilance.
And moving on, President Yoweri Museveni has said that much as the world and Uganda are embracing development of technology and digitalization for better societies, there is need to mind the challenges and threats coming along with this era. He was opening a 2-day annual ICT job fair at Kololo Independence Grounds in Kampala. For it is organized and funded by different players, with the Ministry of ICT being in the lead. This year's ICT Job Fair Expo is running on the theme Navigating the Digital Horizon and is open to members of the public until 10th October 2023. It is the second of its kind and showcases the potential in funding the innovation sector. In attendance was the Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo. The chief guest, President Yoweri Museveni, commended the job fair, referring to it as an abundant opportunity. Museveni noted that if the digital era is not well managed, it can drag the generation into danger. The interesting moment of the event was when the president made it public about his mobile phone.
And moving on now to indiscipline in Parliament, where Parliament's Committee on Rules, Discipline and Privileges is due to commence investigations into allegations on MP Zaki's misconduct last Friday. Zaki is accused of demeaning Rakai District Woman Member of Parliament Juliet Kinyamatama during his recent visit to Rakai District. Also, a section of Makerere University students have petitioned the Deputy Speaker on the same matter, arguing that Zaki's behavior was demeaning to their woman Member of Parliament. Investigations into the allegations will start next Friday. The chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee of Rules, Privileges and Discipline, Abudu Katuntu, said the committee has met to resolve how it will proceed. Katuntu said the committee will investigate whether Zaki was in breach of parliamentary decorum.
Now, looking into anti-corruption cases, Naweru Magistrate Court State Prosecutor Chigwala Simon has been sentenced to 1 year in prison or to pay a fine of 7 million after being found guilty of corruption. Chigwala Simon was convicted by the Anti-Corruption Court with the offense of directly soliciting for gratification of 6.2 million from Zam Ndagire and Kasumba Octavius in line of letting their relative be granted bail. State Prosecutor Chigwala Simon of Naweru Magistrates Court at Anti-Corruption Court was charged and convicted with 2 counts of corruption. The evidence on court record indicates that on 15 September 2019 at Naweru Magistrates Court and Naweru Playgrounds in Wakiso District, he directly solicited for gratification of 6.2 million from Zam Ndagire and Kasumba Octavius. to secure bail for relatives of Zamnagire and Kasumba Octavius. Magistrate Esther Asimwe of the Anti-Corruption Court sentenced State Prosecutor Chigwala Simon to 1 year in prison on each of the counts, or to pay a fine of 7 million. Chigwala is now barred from serving in any government office for 10 years from the date of conviction.
Away from that, internationally, an explosion rocked a hospital in Gaza yesterday, killing hundreds in one of the deadliest single incidents of violence in the Strip, hours before President Biden was expected to visit Israel in a show of support. Hamas and Palestinian officials blamed Israel and said at least 500 people were killed. Israel's Prime Minister's office said there were clear indications that the blast was a misfire by the militant Palestinian Islamic Jihad, which the group denied. The source of the explosion could not be immediately verified. Now, Jordan has also cancelled a summit with U.S. President Joe Biden and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi after a deadly Israeli strike at the Gaza hospital. Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas earlier withdrew from the meeting. The Gaza Health Ministry says at least 500 were killed in the Al-Ahli Baptist Hospital, many of them women and children. A UN-run school housing refugees was also struck. And in Ukraine has used US-supplied long-range missiles for the first time, President Zelensky said. His comments follow reports that the weapons known as ATACMs destroyed 9 helicopters at Russian bases in the east of the country. Ukraine has not confirmed the missiles were used. Ukraine said an air defense system and other equipment were among the targets hit in Russia. Dozens of Russian troops were killed or injured in the operation, it added. They have performed very accurately. ATACMs have proven themselves, Mr. Zelensky said in an evening address posted on social media without giving details of when or where they were used. Russia's military has not commented. The Biden administration had previously refused to provide these missiles to Ukraine, but had decided in recent weeks to send them quietly, U.S. media outlets reported, quoting 2 U.S. officials. And in South Africa, the Foreign Affairs Minister has spoken to Hamas's leader in order to discuss getting humanitarian aid to Palestine, her office said. After militant group Hamas launched a deadly attack on Israel last weekend, the Israeli army has laid siege to Gaza, the densely populated Palestinian area where Hamas is based. Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor on Tuesday confirmed she had a call with Hamas chief, that is Ismail Haniyeh, on behalf of South African government. Hamas, rather than South Africa, had initiated the talks, the office said. During the call, and in line with the government's position, Minister Pandor reiterated South Africa's solidarity and support for the people of Palestine and expressed sadness and regret for the loss of innocent lives, both Palestinians and Israelis, the statement said. Minister Pandor and the Hamas leader discussed how to get the necessary humanitarian aid to Gaza and other parts of the Palestinian territories. The minister's office denied reports by a local media house that stated she expressed support for the Hamas attack on Israel. And speaking matters climate, Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg was detained alongside dozens of other demonstrators gathered outside a swanky London hotel on Tuesday in a bid to disrupt the major oil and gas industry conference happening inside. Now, Thunberg and her fellow activists attempted to block the entrance of the Intercontinental Hotel on Park Lane, which is hosting the Energy Intelligence Forum, according to London's Metropolitan Police. The annual 3-day conference, which brings together fossil fuel executives and government officials, is slated to feature speakers including the chief executives of Shell, Saudi Arabia's Aramco, and Norway's Equinor, as well as the UK's Energy Security Minister. Oily money out, the group chanted in a seeming nod to the event's previous name, the Oil and Money Conference. That is it for the climate news and what is happening internationally.
Thank you so much, Chantal, for that news report. Right about now, Jerome Paul Sonko takes us through the press review.
And at the front pages of the New Vision and the Daily Monitor this morning, the New Vision highlights why Tayewa suspended 5 NUP MPs. As the leader of opposition, Mpuga, says they will not be intimidated. That is according to what the New Vision is highlighting today. What puts men at risk of breast cancer? More in the health report. The New Vision gives you more details. Now, new crop varieties to boost food security and exports. You can read more about that, especially those in the export business as well as agriculture. Now, UPDF in pursuit of ADF after tourist attack. Read more about the same with the New Vision. Ugandan scientists get 21 billion Ugandan shillings for HIV vaccine research. Another interesting report. Then the Gaza war, Joe Biden to visit Israel. Read about the same in the New Vision. Now, President Museveni advises on ICT business. That is when he was at the ICT Job Fair 2023 at Kololo. Read more of the same, courtesy of the New Vision today. Now, moving further, the Daily Monitor. Hundreds killed as Israel airstrike hits hospital in Gaza City. The Daily Monitor is giving you more reports of the same as judge okays interest on loans from friends. Interesting report, that one. Terror, the ADF killed British, South African tourist and Ugandan guide. Daily Monitor with a pictorial of the tour vehicle that was gutted by the fire. And then in the other news, new after-sex pill attracts mixed reactions. Which pill is that? Read more about the same. Government lawyer convicted as he's also fined 7 million shillings for bribery. Then elsewhere, activists petition IGG over corruption at Masaka Hospital. Very interesting reports by the two newspapers this morning.
Well, there is something that we shared in the local news stories that I found interesting. This lawyer that was convicted and barred from having holding government office for 10 years. Now, I like that move because we want to fight corruption at all costs. But I also, what do you think about people who said that the punishment was a bit excessive given the amount of money he solicited, yet there are people that have solicited or squandered or laundered money in large sums, okay? And they are still walking scot-free.
You see, our laws are very clear, though sometimes against us. For this case, it was easy to investigate and with evidence. Now, most of the times, the IGG, the you may make reports that these amounts of money are missing. But it's very hard to investigate and get these culprits. However, I think Ugandans are tired of the anti-corruption organs fishing silverfish. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Yet you have Nile perch in our waters and maybe bigger fish.
I like the player.
Someone who has started a bribe of about 7 million. It's bad, fine, but
it was even less than 7 million.
About 6 or something, 6 point something. Really, we need to have. These don't cause that dramatic change. Someone who is stealing money meant to construct a road is stealing more from us.
Someone stealing money meant for the health of Ugandans.
Yes, but it is good, it is deterrent in one way or the other. And I want to thank the judiciary. By the way, if the judiciary, I don't know if it's so common there, but at least so many times we've seen many of their members being arrested and prosecuted. But the country is yearning and craving and bleeding to have these crocodiles, the Nile perch. But this in Korongo and Mukene.
And you know all the media attention this case has gotten. Please don't get me wrong. It is a step in the right direction. If you're corrupt, you need to be, faced with the full extent of the law. But he has put it, Chirabo, there are many bigger cases we have seen. And Chirabo, where I disagree with you, you've said that it is hard to find evidence. Chantal, is it really hard to find this evidence?
In some cases, it's been very evident, and we've seen people who have been apparently barred from holding office for 10 years, and in their ninth year, they hold public office.
They're reappointed.
Thank you. We have seen people that have been taken to jail or even investigated. Then in the media, they lose interest in the case. We have seen these things happen. They've been in our face all over. Where there is a will, there is a way.
But I want to comment a bit on how hard it is to investigate. You see, when a person steals $1 billion shillings,
yes,
and they have it with them. Now, the law first, they are entitled to police bond, then they have bail in court, you know, then they are out. They have the ability to influence the investigations. And because of the big monies they have, and sometimes you can't steal all that money single-handedly.
No, it's
so
actually
it is syndicate
never single-handedly, yes.
So if I steal and Sonko is part of it, Chantal,
you may find even those who are going to help out with the case are also part of
it, so it becomes a bit complicated. Of course, you'll have to protect me, you may not give the right information.
True.
So it becomes a bit hard, and even the magnitude.
Now with the small monies, it's
but
very
this
easy
one,
to
you
get the
got a bribe from me.
Direct.
It is 2 people. If I'm willing and I don't get what I want, it is quite slightly or better easy to investigate.
No, now that I understand, but the bigger corruption scandals we've had in this country regarding many, lots of funds, sometimes we have known actually the people that were in charge. We have known the people that did ABCD. I'll give you an example. COVID-19, it is said that there was a lot of corruption regarding the funds that were, gotten for some of the responses. But, well, those are things that people will whisper about. You will find them in the newspapers, but you will never see anyone being apprehended. You'll never see someone being, facing charges. But still, judiciary, you did well. We still need bigger. Get the nail patch.
The 10 years, in my own opinion, they are worth it.
No, we need
because
to start,
I am actually not defending.
Really.
Yes, but also think about it like this. If we are saying 10 years and there is someone else who is going to be, let's not even look at the money. Let's look at the gravity and the impact
of the
that corruption has had on our country.
Yes.
That is the reason as to why such punishments should be there, not basing on the amount of money that someone stole or
I think it should as well be like the spiritual way where, they normally say there is no measurement for which sin is bigger.
All sins are equal.
All sins are equal. Whether you stole and someone committed adultery and did not steal,
all sinners.
You're all sinners. So it's just sinners sinning differently.
And
and evil grows. You begin with a little.
And exactly. So when you start,
and you never know, he was only caught at that little he had taken more.
That's why
so how much more? Actually, these
punishments,
punishments, I think that where the judiciary comes in to give such punishments is usually on, I believe it could be on the pretext of how much more have you done that went unnoticed. So I am not saying the punishment is wrong. All I'm saying is I would like to see, like Shirabo said, the Nile patch, the bigger cases also big, getting this much attention and being fished out, because corruption must end. We have lost so much as a country because of corruption. And like I usually say, corruption starts and ends with us. That 10K you give to a traffic police officer as you're driving, you are fostering. That change you look for before you start driving. And you say, hey, when I meet traffic police, you are enabling corruption. So you are also corrupt. Anyway, we will take a short break and we will leave you with Adele with one of my favorite songs, Someone Like You.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Another incident that happened in Kasese district where a school was attacked and over 40 students were killed by still allegedly ADF rebels. This, I remember the president saying, and it is in connection to what Robert said. At the time, the president said that this was a cowardly act because there was an army installation about 88 kilometers away from the school. And he said, if you really want to have a face-off? Why attack people that cannot defend themselves? Why attack people that you know are just going to be victims, yet you can face off with the army that is well, equipped and qualified to fight you back? Chantal, do you really think that this is a cowardly act? And what do you think is the rationale for all these attacks by the ADF?
Well, the fortunate bit here is that we are still trying to also conclude if it is the ADF. But yes, it is indeed a cowardly act. And my question would go to what is the reason behind these attacks? Because first of all, there is a bit of space in between the attacks, and the attacks seem to be specific. But also, please do note that when a foreigner dies on your land, that affects trade and international relations. So in this case, maybe it could be one of the reasons that we could put forward for the attack. I mean, we all do know that when a foreigner dies on your land, you're going to have answers to give to the country where these people are coming from. So maybe that could be the reason as to why we are seeing something like this happen. Do note one of the people that was killed was from Britain.
Well, that's really sad. And of course, the tourism industry is now might face a hard time because look at it this way. COVID-19 brought the tourism industry on its knees. And now, as it is picking up from where, COVID-19 left it, a lot of disorganization and, a lot of losses, now we get this. But we hope that we can move on from this, and Ugandans will be safe because security agencies have said they are doing everything possible to ensure that we stay safe. Good morning, Sonko.
Oh, good morning, Monica.
How are you
today?
I am well. I heard about this attack first from you last night, and it sent a cold shiver down my spine. But when you heard about it the first time, what are some of the thoughts that ran through your mind?
The very first thought was looking at citizen journalism. There is a very worrying state about how Ugandans or how people who have access to phones use information. And the worry is there was a very huge argument about why certain pictures or why certain videos were circulating. And you get to realize that there are people who are insensitive in a way according to how they spread information and all that. Obviously, because the world has actually changed in the way information is actually spread. We also had arguments of Ugandans bashing out to media houses on to why they were actually exposing this. And these were mainly the players in the industry of tourism. But remember, information that is actually put out by media houses is actually filtered. If you go through most of the handles of media houses, that is in Uganda, main media houses in Uganda, including our ex-handle, at UBC, you'll only find a picture or an image of the tour vehicle that was burning.
Yes.
But when you look at when you look out to other social media platforms, especially for, let's say, people with huge followings, because they want to attract views, and they want to attract influence and all that, or engagement, you realize many people were sharing reckless images that were ideally not of a good image. But again, it is now a time when you realize that from the tourism perspective, some of the tourism operators or players were saying this is bad information which shouldn't be out there. But remember, this is something that was already out and everybody had already seen it, so it was more like creating awareness. How you package it was different. But then, like you've mentioned, it is worrying because now I want to believe there are a number of tourists who normally book for their holidays even before the December season starts.
That's true.
Even before November starts. Now that is where the issue comes in. You can only feel bad for the tour operators because now what they're actually going to go through during such a time when they were only picking up from the losses they made. It's going to be another difficult one. But once I heard about that, or once I got the information about the same, I was highly triggered by the images and videos that were being shared, because when I looked at most of the images and videos that I saw, for starters, I found them in entertainment groups into which I actually fall under. Then others were in tourism groups, and everyone was giving their own view. Others were actually saying it's wrong information, it's not right, until media houses came out. And also when the police came out to actually post the same, I think that is where the entire spark came out. For the tourism operators, they are being defensive at the moment, trying to prevent anything, but I think it is already out of hand.
You see, you cannot cover the entire world with the palm of your hands. That is out of your hands. And like you said, today we have citizen journalism, because the clips that are being shared are shared by people that were on the scene, that found these bodies. No media house captured these footages or these pictures. They also got what people shared prior. Now, I understand that as media houses, we should not play with sensation, so we should not be displaying those gruesome pictures, and many did not, and even us here at UBC, we didn't do that. But also, after Uganda police came out and confirmed the incident, you can still not hold media houses accountable. True. We understand the tourism sector is affected, but at the same time, we also have a responsibility towards the people that view our content, towards the citizenry, because as the media, one of our roles, actually one of our major roles, is to be watchdogs and to also be informative. So we bring this information to people, because in as much as you want us to keep it under the carpet, there is so much we can do ourselves. But anyway, that being said, we are waiting for more information, and we will be bringing you all that information here on Good Morning Uganda. But for now, we delve into the local news stories.
Well, and we'll begin with exactly the story that we've been discussing, where yesterday
reminds us of still another incident that happened in Kasese district, where a school was attacked and over 40 students were killed by still allegedly ADF rebels. This, I remember the president saying, and it is in connection to what Robert said. At the time, the president said that this was a cowardly act, because there was an army installation about 88 kilometers away from the school. And he said, if you really want to have a face-off, why attack people that cannot defend themselves? Why attack people that you know are just going to be victims, yet you can face off with the army that is well, equipped and qualified to fight you back? Chantal, do you really think that this is a cowardly act? And what do you think is the rationale for all these attacks by the ADF?
Well, the fortunate bit here is that we are still trying to also conclude if it is the ADF. But yes, it is indeed a cowardly act. And my question would go to what is the reason behind these attacks? Because first of all, there is a bit of space in between the attacks, and the attacks seem to be specific. But also, please do note that when a foreigner dies on your land, that affects trade and international relations. So in this case, maybe it could be one of the reasons that we could put forward for the attack. I mean, we all do know that when a foreigner dies on your land, you're going to have answers to give to the country where these people are coming from. So maybe that could be the reason as to why we are seeing something like this happen. Do note one of the people that was killed was from Britain.
Well, that's really sad. And of course, the tourism industry is now might face a hard time, because look at it this way. COVID-19 brought the tourism industry on its knees. And now, as it is picking up from where, COVID-19 left it, a lot of disorganization and, a lot of losses, now we get this. But we hope that we can move on from this, and Ugandans will be safe, because security agencies have said they're doing everything possible to ensure that we stay safe. Good morning, Sonko.
Oh, good morning, Monica.
How are you
today?
I am well. I heard about this attack first from you last night, and it sent a cold shiver down my spine. But when you heard about it the first time, what are some of the thoughts that ran through your mind?
The very first thought was looking at citizen journalism. There is a very worrying state about how Ugandans, or how people who have access to phones use information. And the worry is there was a very huge argument about why certain pictures or why certain videos were circulating. And you get to realize that there are people who are insensitive in a way according to how they spread information and all that. Obviously, because the world has actually changed in the way information is actually spread. We also had arguments of Ugandans bashing out to media houses on to why they were actually exposing this. And these were mainly the players in the industry of tourism. But remember, information that is actually put out by media houses is actually filtered. If you go through most of the handles of media houses, that is in Uganda, main media houses in Uganda, including our ex-handle at UBC, you'll only find a picture or an image of the tour vehicle that was burning.
Yes, yes.
But when you look at when you look out to other social media platforms, especially for, let's say, people with huge followings, because they want to attract views, and they want to attract influence and all that, or engagements, you realize many people are sharing reckless images that were ideally not of a good image. But again, it is now a time when you realize that from the tourism perspective, some of the tourism operators or players were saying this is bad information which shouldn't be out there. But remember, this is something that was already out and everybody had already seen it, so it was more like creating awareness. How you package it was different. But then, like you've mentioned, it is worrying because now I want to believe there are a number of tourists who normally book for their holidays even before the December season starts.
That's true.
Even before November starts. Now that is where the issue comes in. You can only feel bad for the tour operators because now what they're actually going to go through during such a time when they were only picking up from the losses they made. It's going to be another difficult one. But once I heard about that, or once I got the information about the same, I was highly triggered by the images and videos that were being shared, because when I looked at most of the images and videos that I saw, for starters, I found them in entertainment groups into which I actually fall under. Then others were in tourism groups, and everyone was giving their own view. Others were actually saying it's wrong information, it's not right, until media houses came out. And also when the police came out to actually post the same, I think that is where the entire spark came out. For the tourism operators, they are being defensive at the moment, trying to prevent anything, but I think it is already out of hand.
You see, you cannot cover the entire world with the palm of your hands. That is out of your hands. And like you said, today we have citizen journalism, because the clips that are being shared are shared by people that were on the scene, that found these bodies. No media house captured these footages or these pictures. They also got what people shared prior. Now, I understand that as media houses, we should not play with sensation, so we should not be displaying those gruesome pictures, and many did not, and even us here at UBC, we didn't do that. But also, after Uganda police came out and confirmed the incident, you can still not hold media houses accountable. True. We understand the tourism sector is affected, but at the same time, we also have a responsibility towards the people that view our content, towards the citizenry, because as the media, one of our roles, actually one of our major roles, is to be watchdogs and to also be informative. So we bring this information to people because in as much as you want us to keep it under the carpet, there is so much we can do ourselves. But anyway, that being said, we are waiting for more information, and we will be bringing you all that information here on Good Morning Uganda. But for now, we delve into the local news stories.
Well, and we'll begin with exactly the story that we've been discussing, where yesterday
Reminds us of still another incident that happened in Kasese district, where a school was attacked and over 40 students were killed by still allegedly ADF rebels. This, I remember the president saying, and it is in connection to what Robert said. At the time, the president said that this was a cowardly act because there was an army installation about 88 kilometers away from the school. And he said, if you really want to have a face-off, why attack people that cannot defend themselves? Why attack people that you know are just going to be victims, yet you can face off with the army that is well, equipped and qualified to fight you back? Chantal, do you really think that this is a cowardly act? And what do you think is the rationale for all these attacks by the ADF?
Well, the fortunate bit here is that we are still trying to also conclude if it is the ADF. But yes, it is indeed a cowardly act. And my question would go to what is the reason behind these attacks? Because first of all, there is a bit of space in between the attacks, and the attacks seem to be specific. But also, please do note that when someone...
Simply because there are very few times when someone is going to be cautioned about coming late or missing work, because remember, in the private sector it is very, very difficult for you to to absent yourself. Why? Because either way your salary is going to get chopped, or you may actually be suspended. Now with the government agencies, on the other hand, most of the people who are comfortable in those places do not really care about being absent. Now, when you look at, for example, the consultants there, in the issue to do with absenteeism, someone already knows I'm going to earn my 12 million at the end of the day now, which was formerly 6 million. Whether I come in, whether I complete the 30 days
or not.
So it does seem like he was, he realized, however absent he will actually get or be, it won't be an issue when it comes to his salaries, because maybe the accounting officer will not be monitoring. It's not like a system whereby our government systems are going to monitor you. It's only a few government offices that have, let's say, electric monitors that will ideally see whether someone worked or not if you're punching in.
I saw that being introduced at Makerere University,
but when you
where
look at
lecturers have been absent, so they introduced that clocking in biometrics,
so
and they're against it. They're fighting the new system. But why? And Dr. Henry Mwebesa, the Director General of Health Services at the Ministry of Health, asked a question, and I will still pose the same question myself. If you cannot do this in the private sector, if you cannot be absent, show up to work only 8 days in a month, why are people finding it comfortable to do it in government facilities?
Olive, governance is the problem. See, like I asked, who is there to sit this person down at the end of the month and be like, hey, listen, you've only worked 8 days in a day, in a month of 30
said the
days.
Hospital already has the in-charge. So what is the in-charge doing?
The chances are the in-charge may as well not be able to have...
they may be themselves not available.
Or,
yes.
So now we are speaking of a deeper cancer in government facilities, be it hospitals or even other agencies. And one wonders, how did we get here?
How we got here
Yes.
is it's one step at a time. And why I mention a step at a time, like I've mentioned, is when you are working, and let's say you're on a payroll, a government payroll, you do realize that maybe your duties are to go up country. Let's say you are, let's say, assigned to Gulu, to health center in Gulu, and you stay in Gulu city, where you're also attached to a private hospital, because these are scenarios that happen whereby everyone wants to do other extra jobs as well. Now, of course, you get to realize that maybe if I miss out today and no one checks on you, you're like, oh,
it's actually possible.
It's actually possible. So if you miss today, miss the second day, miss the third day, maybe your self-conscious will tell you, you know what, try to go in for maybe the fourth day and don't create a lot of chaos. So when they see you again on the fourth day, they'll be like, oh, he's still there.
Around.
He's around. So sadly, it becomes a habit. And once the salary checks in and you see no changes to it, because believe it, the easiest way to monitor an individual or to control a Ugandan individual is trying to look at their paycheck. In most cases, is you just try to make changes in their paycheck. You will see a doctor coming out as well. Not only the doctor, but when you look at all professions, especially if you've been earning a lot of money and someone decreases the pay, you're definitely going to go and ask why. Now, in situations whereby no one is asking, you're very comfortable, because we are not seeing consultants coming out as doctors. The reason as why these doctors normally come out and actually riot or demonstrate is because they are always available. And their concerns are, why is it that I'm always available, but my salary is not increased? And yet the person who is not available, their salary is not, is actually not decreased at all, and they're actually getting increments. Now, once you see that happening, you'll be like, anyway, whether I work or not, I'll still get my salary. So if they are paying me 1 million Ugandan shillings, what I will do, I'll avail myself for 5 days a month.
One time
and it starts eating up.
One time I had an interview, a conversation with the president of the Uganda Interns Association, and he said that interns do most of the work, and unlike in other places of work or other vocations, let's say media, an intern in most media houses may not even be paid because they're still a student, maybe in second year. They have been sent to an organization to get some practical skills and then go back. It is part of an exam. But when it comes to the medical industry or sector, interns are already doctors. They have finished their years in medical school.
They finish the 4 years,
yes,
and then go for the 5th year.
It's like when you go to law school and you graduate as a lawyer, but then you go to LDC so that you can now get the right to litigate. So interns go to do internship after graduating as medical students. They are now doctors, so they are just getting practical skills into maybe surgery or whatever vocation they have specialized in. They say it is said they do most of the work. The specialists will come and do rounds in the hospital, and then the interns will be left to do most of the work. Okay, so now according to Dr. Henry Mwebesa, the Director General of Health Services at the Ministry of Health, he says that this particular doctor in one of the hospitals who was showing up 8 days in a month would come on Wednesday and on Saturday, and interns would now have to give him a call, take pictures of a client's situation, let's say if it's something he can view, and then call him or send to him, and then he would give them instructions. He is supposed to be on ground to teach. I remember the last time I had a child, I remember when I was in the nursery, the doctor would come in and tell them, ask, it is like an exam of, okay, this child has yellow eyes, what are we looking at? So what do we do? It is supposed to be a present teaching, but now the consultant is offering instructions on the phone. It still takes me back to the question, why are people so comfortable to be negligent, or why are they so comfortable to not serve the government as they should? Because we have had stories of, and I'm sure we have all experienced instances where you go to someone's office, there is a blazer on their chair, you wait for 4 hours. They
always carry two. There is one for office and one for the car. And you know, we talk about these things in jokes, but they actually happen. Someone comes to the court, hangs it in office and steps out. There is one in the car, drives out. You don't know why they've gone, they've not communicated. But when you take it back to, you've asked a question, why is it that these consultants or these government workers are actually taking the government for granted, if I may put it like that? One,
it is taking the government for granted.
Like I said, governance. Now, when I talk about governance and talk about being accountable, we go back down to where we have the supervisors. Are they doing their part? When we compare the private sector and the public sector, honestly, if you are working for a private hospital, there is all these conditions that are put in place. There is deal breakers that are put in place. You know, you sign a contract, and this contract, you adhere to it. If you do not, if you breach the contract, you are going to be even fined. Your salary could be cut. There is all these consequences that you're going to face when you breach this contract, isn't it? Is that what we see happening with government officials? Maybe not.
I think there's an element of the private sector that comes in. How? You do realize, however much we are talking about how the salary increments were, actually, affected by the government, but not only that, and also looking at how government was, making sure that they work on some of the grievances. I also bringing a point of looking at what the private sector is offering these doctors that the government has failed. Because in most cases, when these doctors are absent in the public health services, the chances are very high that they are somewhere in private hospitals. And when you look out for the paychecks, they do look handsome. These are very good paychecks for them. You also look at their allowances, and there's an element of coming in on time.
Is there a but?
Because I want to believe some of us have gone to private hospitals whereby a doctor actually takes good care of you.
And takes the time.
Exactly. Now, the reason is also, when you look at their paycheck or you look at their accounts, very happy accounts, or they reflect on time. If your salary is supposed to come in on the 28th, it is coming in on the 28th, unless otherwise. If you have allowances, if you have day offs, you're given. If they are, let's say, if there is lunch, they are given. Now, when you go back to government health facilities, even some of the interns also complain of the same, that you do realize that the working conditions are really worse. We've seen images where doctors are actually using when you look at how the conditions under which they take the water they're actually supposed to be using for, let's say, for medication and everything, it's the same water they're actually using to drink. We've actually seen images where doctors do not eat a meal or two per day, but imagine they have to attend to the patients.
Oh, in the cases where some of them work way beyond the shifts that they have to. But you see, Sonko, all those are pertinent things that you're raising. But there is this saying that if you do decide to stay in a place, then you must do as you're required to do. If you are doing this job, you're working for the government and the salary is not coming through, you have two options: to either stay and work, and this will sound rude to some people, but you either stay and work or you quit. If you decide not to quit, then be present, show up and do the job, because no one is forcing you to stay on the job. But you're depriving patients, and we're going to look into this, how the absenteeism is affecting patients, because the Ministry of Health knows that in this facility we deployed this number of doctors, but now you're not showing up. And the patients don't know those things, you get. So you have to make a decision on a personal level. I understand if this is not serving you, so what's the way forward so that everyone can be attended to? But we'd like for you to join this conversation. And we are asking, do you believe that health workers' absenteeism has improved or worsened despite recent salary increment? Has the health workers' absenteeism improved or worsened despite the salary increment? You can join this conversation through WhatsApp number 0709602592, and on the X app the hashtag is UBCGMU. And of course, as you see on your screen, the question is, do you believe that health workers' absenteeism has improved or worsened despite recent salary increment? I see some of your views coming through. Thank you so much. Please keep them coming, keep your advice coming, because someone out there is watching, and probably, whether it is in the government, whether it is the health workers themselves, they might pick something. So please continue sending in your views. And Sonko, you were speaking about something, and I would like for us to look into it. Now we understand that it may not be perfect. Salaries may not be coming on time, and that is not okay. But if we have chosen to continue serving and being doctors, first of all, what is the first role of a doctor?
To save lives.
Okay, now that we know that, my first role as a journalist is to be a watchdog, right? So now that we have that out of the way, can we also look at the decision, how the decision to not show up for work is affecting patients?
I think the very first also issue is, in most cases, if you're choosing a career, there is an element of passion towards it.
That should be there.
That should be there, exactly. That if you're going
like the emphasis on the
that should be there. That if you're going into a given career, you should love your job. That is the very fundamental priority for anyone. That if you chose to be a media personality, you love what you're doing. You're a doctor, it is something you wanted to do right from maybe high school or childhood, and you always wanted to save lives and all. Now, when we look at the underlying implications or effects that are going to come through due to this absenteeism, there are quite many. I'm only giving, I'm imagining a scenario where you have a pregnant mother per se who is expecting a child anytime soon, and reaching hospital, there is no one to attend to actually attend to them.
Yes.
You can imagine all those scenes. Now imagine situations whereby someone is supposed to be given extra attention, or a mother who's supposed to be going to through C-section, let's say, all those scenarios.
And now the intern who probably doesn't have the skill properly is now supposed to carry out that C-section.
Someone's life.
Exactly.
And you've actually, mentioned something whereby interns have to call the doctor on duty, the consultant, to tell them on how to actually give up medication and everything. Now imagine someone, we've had scenarios or cases whereby someone is given wrong medication and they have effects on them, after effects on them for life.
Yes, and we have also had cases of cotton being forgotten in the uteruses of mothers. And I have a feeling these incidents happen because the supervisor is not there. My last child was delivered by C-section, and it was by an intern. How do I know it was an intern? I had instructions. Do this, pull the baby, do that. If you make a mistake, it's going to be on me. I was like, oh, wow, this is an intern. Because they are supposed to do this and learn, they are supposed to be hands-on, but the supervisor has to be in the room instructing and guiding them. Now, if you are doing this on phone, do you see how these mistakes are happening? And do you see how we are going to lose lives?
And we've actually as well seen people getting even wrong tests simply because the person who is actually on duty may not have enough information or has not been doing this for a long time to even know how to handle certain patients. I want to believe experience, there is a way experience changes the narrative, especially in such cases, because a doctor who has been in the profession for 10 years has a way he or she handles scenarios or cases that someone in the profession for 2 years can't, especially in this medical space. It is very sensitive.
Yes.
So like you've actually given the example, these are effects that we don't pay attention to, but there's a lot of let's say miscalculations happening in the medical fraternity these days. And a matter of fact it is because of the absenteeism, and also it also goes back to the quality of medical facilities or services that we have in the country, and maybe the working conditions under which they work, because that is where you see a doctor coming very unhappy, and yet they have a patient who they're supposed to work on, and then they will just do what they want because they are either having personal issues that they've not actually solved, handled. All this affects us, and it's something that is actually going to be laying a very huge implication on our lives if we do not check ourselves.
But also let's note that much as there was a bit of deployment done, it wasn't really done to effectiveness. What do I mean? It's not like where we needed 100 doctors or nurses, we actually got 100 or even 110 or 20. No, it was just a little that was added. So where there is absenteeism, when it comes to the consultants, there is a gap. And that affects the what? That affects the patients themselves. It affects how the overall hospital performs. It goes all the way to things like delays when it comes to service delivery. It goes to, of course, like we said, poor quality services being delivered because people who are delivering are not they're not very well experienced when it comes to that. So there is a lot to explore when it comes to some of the effects that we are facing?
Well, we are asking if you believe that the absenteeism of health workers has improved or worsened despite the recent salary increment. Case in point, consultants were earning 6 million shillings, and because of the presidential directive that was issued last year, they're now earning 12 million shillings. But some of these are showing up just 8 days in a month. Why is that? Why are they still being absent? That's the question we are asking today. And we have some views coming through. This one says, good morning, UBC GMU. Payment is still, meanwhile, this is all in capital letters to emphasize how serious this comment is. Payment is still controlled by jealousy personnel at the district who make some civil servants miss every month so that those who contact them to rectify salary issues share with them when things work out. The corruption we were talking about earlier. People aren't sure of next month's pay and hence try to see how to earn elsewhere. From Assemble in Napak. And this one says, good morning UBC. This is Kabi Muzafaru Isabidye, the president of Busoga Bloggers Association. He says it is true the rise in pay for health workers had an impact according to the way he sees things moving in Ginger City. Thank you, Muzafaru. And this one says, good morning, family. The problems of health workers seem to be the song Uganda will sing endlessly. The main challenge that nowadays people want to be doctors, not due to patriotism, but due to the privileges in that profession. And this starts from schools nowadays until the old days where, unlike the old days where most of us wanted to be doctors for the purpose of saving lives. So cases of absenteeism are inevitable with such poor intentions even when the salaries are increased. Secondly, also government should do the needful whenever sensitive sectors like security, agriculture and health sector go for industrialization actions. The country is always at stake. This once happened when medical workers laid down their tools and we lost a lot of lives in a short period of time. Let's stop gambling on people's lives. Cricket Derek Gagamel from Makinde. And this is just Shema from Shema district. He says most health workers work when they want, especially in the villages. Government needs to enhance supervision, otherwise salary rise has nothing to do with their performance. In any case, most of them have used the same money to start other businesses. Thank you so much, Justice. This one says the rise in pay for health workers cannot have an impact at all as long as domestic commodities are still expensive. School fees for just one child is unbelievable. We are still paying for all things we use. That money is useless. Actually, the government is trying to block a disaster that's about to happen just by paying health workers. He said fooling health workers. This is Lamek. And he's asking the government, does government tax the civil servant's salary? If yes, then the rise in their salary is useless. And the next question, the next comment is, it's not about salary increment, but human nature. People don't like to work in all sectors. Lazy people are always complaining of work conditions, but even when there is improvement, they are not bound to change. And this one is this is Lucas Ogutu from Mwanza, Tanzania, and he says he's following the program attentively, and he says absenteeism does negatively affect productivity and performance, and as for the public health sector, it is destructive to the nation. Public health officials should change. Thank you, Lucas, and greetings. James Manga, he says they should have contracts for 2 years, and this should be renewed. Those that have not performed, their contracts should not be renewed. I like this one.
Those are measures that, those are some of the measures that could be employed to enable us to get results.
And this one is Simon from Kayunga. He says, critically unstable monthly payments are causing the absenteeism. And George and Jim from Lira says it has worsened everything because when you look at the economy of Uganda now is low, so they shouldn't demand for high payment, and their absenteeism is not a solution. And Jolam says, good morning, thanks for the program. To me, I think it is the employer that has a problem because working conditions in private hospitals are even worse than in government facilities, but those in private work effectively. I think the increment has worsened because the situation because it is manned by workers still earning less at the districts and lack of patriotism. There is a lot government has to do more apart from increasing pay, and he thinks contracts would work better. Now, as we close, let's have a look at some of the measures that the government can pick up. We understand it was put on the wall and made to increase salaries, and that has still not helped as far as absenteeism is concerned in a few.
Government needs to be more deliberate when it comes to these things that are implemented, and this cuts across the different institutions sectors, or government institutions. When you talk about supervision, you talk about things like accountability. Those are things that need to be checked. You talk about sustainability of some of the things that are implemented. At the end of the day, you want Ugandans to be healthy, Ugandans to gain from the taxes they pay, because the money that pays these doctors and any other government worker is taxpayers' money. So there has to be value for that money that is invested. If it is not there, we go back and check why is it not there. Put measures in place, just like private hospitals have stringent measures. Let's employ some in public sector so that we achieve results. There is no reason as to why the private sector should be doing better than the private sector, ideally.
The public sector should be.
No, there is no reason as to why the private should be doing better than government, yet government has an upper hand in a number of ways and has more control compared to the private sector.
Okay, Sonko, in a few, what measures do you suggest government should take?
Government and individuals.
Individuals,
I will actually take two. One is to the government, following up. Supervision needs to be very, needs to be a priority now. Simply because it does seem like if you don't supervise most of the Ugandans, then they are likely to do what they want at the moment. So simply because the money is coming in, you'll as well have to, go in and supervise to make accountability. But also, looking back at the government, making sure that there are some facilities that are improved. The working conditions need to be, more so the allowances. If at all the salary is going to delay, make sure that some of these allowances are in place. Food, very important. Transport, because if someone is going to wait for a salary of 6 months, really, it will be very difficult for them to attend or to actually come to work on a daily. Then also, going back to the issue to do with the passion part of it, as a doctor, I think we need to also put this humanitarian cause as a very fundamental thing, because if you're going to work in the health sector, your main priority as well is to look out for other people's health and as well as saving lives. So it would not look good, or it won't be a good image for you as a health practitioner when someone loses their life at your expense. So it's something that is supposed to be a two-way thing, both the practitioners as well as the government, to ensure that the health sector improves. It is still a long journey, honestly, but we entirely need to make sure that we work hand in hand, the doctors, the practitioners, because our health sector is really, really demanding, and we're actually looking at it differently because of the idea that we want more money. And yet some of the Ugandans can't really afford the basics of health.
Well, that's it from Jerome Paul Sonko and Chantal Olive Akandinda. And of course, as We close. Ratib from Kampala, he says, I won't say I will read his comment word per word, but he says it is attitude. We need to change our attitude. It has nothing to do with how much you're being paid. It has nothing to do with working conditions. And also there is laxity in leadership. People are sleeping on their jobs. And this is causing a problem because in the private sector, people that are strictly supervised are performing and they're delivering. And he says that's why schools, private schools in national exams perform way better than government schools. I don't know if that is true across the board, but that's what he says. And so it goes back to us. Our personal attitudes towards work are really important and something has to give. And when it comes to supervision, government has to really try its best and see that it appoints people and even monitors their work and output. This is still Good Morning Uganda. We will be right back with Good Morning Uganda business and traffic updates.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
This plan, as the name prescribes, is the project for restoration of livelihood in northern region. So it was designed to support the population in order to implement the national programs of wealth creation, improving household income, and this is done through supporting agriculture. And by supporting agriculture, you support seed production, training of farmers, mindset change, and even it went ahead to have components of food security grants, whereby families were given grants to be able to improve their food security. But there was also community-based natural resources grants, which were given to families to put in place woodlots, which would help them to reduce on killing the vegetation and deforestation, looking for energy or for firewood.
Junko. Yo. Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning again, and it is time for the GMU Business Update of the day. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko. A lot is happening from the business world, and to which we will definitely be delving into that and much more at this particular moment. Starting with that is the ICT Job Fair 2023. The two-day event kicked off yesterday at the Kololo Ceremonial Grounds. It comes to an end today. It was graced by the President of it was graced by the presence of the President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who implored Ugandans to actually use ICT devices and ICT to enhance business activities, lead to various exportation, as well as promote and sell goods and commodities outside of the country, or as well as promote their services instead of only using these particular phones or devices for entertainment, as well as using it for other unrelated issues that may not be of huge benefit to the country. Now, instead of only using them to import goods, he rather said that we should as well use them to market our particular products, as well as push for exportation. Now, this particular ICT job fair is running under the theme Navigating the Digital Horizon, and it's a two-day event which was organized by the Ministry of ICT, or organized by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. And of course, it was as well as trying to bring together a diverse range of stakeholders, as it is still happening, by the way. It is a two-day event, like I did mention, and also trying to bridge a gap between the job seekers and those who are already in the employment market, but rather passing through ICT. So if you have some good time as well, you can as well pass by the Kololo ceremonial grounds today and get the opportunity to interact with some of the game changers in the ICT industry. Well, besides that, now let's also turn our eyes to dairy breeding in the country, as the National Animal Genetics Resources Center and Data Bank has released 100 assorted superior dairy breeding bulls to farmers. Now, these particular bulls were given to farmers who are members of dairy cooperatives identified across the entire country. But besides that, this initiative also seeks to increase the commercialization of animal breeding, the animal breeding activities by farmers in all the parts of the country. Dairy cattle breeding are a technology that enhances and promotes dairy enterprise in Uganda. However, there has been an issue of shortage of resources onto which the government wants to put a lot of focus onto. Now, lastly, still in the agriculture sector, pretty much agro-processing now, tea farmers are definitely in the news again. Now, the tea farmers in Chamhuga Sub-County, Bushenyi District have come out to appeal to government to address the issue of price fluctuation. They say the outbreak of COVID-19 affected the sector, and government needs to come out and help them out and check on the changes in prices that seem to be affecting the farmers and the dealers of the tea business. Now, since the outbreak of COVID-19, if you look back, tea farmers in Bushenyi District have bore the brunt of price fluctuation for a product that once sold a kilogram or close to 1,000 to drop to either 250 shillings, 300 or 400 shillings. So imagine if a kilogram of tea was at 1,000 Ugandan shillings, now you can only get it at 400 or 300. It's a benefit for the buyer, but rather something that is not good for those who are actively into tea growing in the country. That's why they ask government to come out and check on these price fluctuations, because it does seem like the effects of COVID-19 are still being felt by these particular farmers of tea in the country. Now it's time for us to check out the market, that is the Forex market. Close of business yesterday, Tuesday, and starting with the US dollar. By close of business yesterday, the US dollar was buying at 3,745.92 shillings, while selling at 3,755.92. The Great Britain pound, on the other hand, was buying at 4,602.23, while selling at 4,614.52. The euro was buying at 3,971.04, while selling at 3,981.65. Kenyan shilling, on the other hand, was buying at 25.15 shillings, while selling at 25.22 shillings. Tanzanian shilling selling at 1.49, while buying at the same 1.49 shillings. South African rand buying at 196.53, while selling at 197.05. And now, lastly, let's look at the front pages of the newspapers. Our local dailies first in Uganda. The New Vision with the headline, Why Tayeba suspended 5 NUP MPs. The leader of opposition, Puga, says they will not be intimidated by this move. Now, what puts men at risk of breast cancer? The bigger question. Read more of the same in the New Vision, as new crop varieties to boost food security and exports have been revealed. In the other news, UPDF in pursuit of ADF after tourist attack. Read more of the same in the New Vision today. President Museveni advises on ICT businesses. He was, of course, at the launch of the second annual ICT job fair yesterday at the Kololo ceremonial grounds. Now, Gaza war, Joe Biden to visit Israel as Ugandan scientists get 21 billion for HIV vaccine research. That is it for the front pages of the New Vision. Now, moving forward, the Daily Monitor also to look at what is making headlines at the front pages of that particular one. Hundreds killed as Israel airstrike hits hospital in Gaza City. Read more about that conflict of Palestine and Israel. As judge okays interest on loans from friends. Interesting report there by the Daily Monitor. Now, terror, ADF killed British South African tourist and a Ugandan guide. Read more about that shock of a story as well. Then in the other news, you can read about new after-sex pill which attracts mixed reactions from various Ugandans, as government lawyer convicted and fined 7 million Ugandan shillings for bribery. Now, crossing the borders to Kenya, we start with the Daily Nation. Now, the Daily Nation says Member of Parliament faces probe, as this probe is relating to a land saga. Day of drama as police block Azimio leader Raila Odinga from accessing demolition site. Now, also, Ruto pitches for standard gauge railway linking Africa's east and western coasts. Where was that? Read more about the same and what he feels the SGR or the standard gauge railway will help in regards to connecting various African markets. And then Raila out to overhaul ODM elections board, as in the education perspective, overwhelmed, overworked, ill-skilled and underpaid inside the walls of junior school teachers. That is the Daily Nation, courtesy of the papers from Kenya. Now, looking at the bigger headlines from Tanzania, we look at the Citizen newspaper this morning. Exchange rate fluctuations cut national debt by 726 million US dollars as Mwinyi's 3-year drive towards blue economy success. Read more of the same. Now, 500 participants to converge on Arusha for the CSO Week 2023. Then there's also an interesting report on why Tanzania opted for out-of-court settlement with a Canadian company. Now, police have also arrested Rufiji man over incest claims. That is what we've had for you in our local dailies, as well as the other coming in from the East African region. Now, at this time, Olive Monica takes you through our traffic update of the Wednesday morning.
Well, a beautiful morning. Once again, my name is Olive Monica Nejima, here to give you the traffic updates. And if you're coming from the areas of Ntinda and Nalia, going to town, Bukoto, going to Ntinda, Stretcher Road, this is where we start from. Now, we pick it up from the trading center in Ntinda over there. And as you can see, there is a little bit of traffic around that intersection where the traffic lights are, but that is just at the traffic lights. Now, as you continue on to Ntinda Bukoto Road, you're going to realize that there are those orange zones which are indicative of a traffic jam that is building up along that road. You can see that there is traffic jam that is feeding into Ntinda Bukoto Road from Chimera Road, and as you continue ahead, we see those deep red zones still along Ntinda Bukoto Road. Now, this is actually intense, and you can see there is also traffic jam coming in from Magamba Road. Now, Magamba Road is that road that goes past Watoto Church and joins the Ntinda Bukoto Road. It is usually used by road users as a way to dodge traffic jam from the main road. Unfortunately, around this time, if you look at this, you realize that as it feeds into the main road, there is a deep red zone over there, which indicates that traffic has actually intensified in this section. But now moving ahead, still along Bukoto Road, yes, the traffic is still intense there. There is a let up for a bit, but overall the traffic is still intense on this section. Today, this road is normally not this, doesn't usually have too much traffic around this time, but today that seems to not be the case. There is a lot of traffic jam around here. Now, as we approach areas of Frobel, you can still see that the traffic jam continues. Now, I'd like for us to look at Ntinda 2 Road and see how that side is going. Now, as you see from Frobel, around Frobel area, as you continue to Ntinda 2 Road, at first there is smooth flow of traffic, but as you move ahead, you're going to find that this place has also now caught up. There is a traffic jam that has built up around this area, and some of it is coming in from Muvule Lane, feeding into Ntinda 2 Road. And as you follow Ntinda 2 Road going ahead, as it continues to join the Ntinda Stretcher Road that takes you to Nakawa, you're going to realize that this entire stretch this morning has traffic jam, as you can see there. Actually, when you reach this intersection, let's look at that. The roads that are, as you come from Commercial Road, you can see that even Commercial Road is feeding traffic into Ntinda 2 Road. The whole of Commercial Road is a red zone, indicating that Commercial Road 2 has too much traffic this morning, which is quite out of the ordinary, because these roads usually don't have traffic. And then there is a bit of traffic coming through from Katalima Road, also feeding into Ntinda 2 Road. Now, as you follow Ntinda 2 Road, still the traffic jam doesn't let up actually until you reach the traffic lights at Stretcher Road. Now, as you see there, that's when the traffic lets up. Now, let's have a look at Stretcher Road and see how it goes up to Nakawa around Kia Motors. Now, Stretcher Road has a smooth flow of traffic this morning. So if that's the side that you're headed to, or the route that you're planning to use, when you reach Stretcher Road, you will find that there is actually no traffic all through, at least from the traffic lights just before Shell. You will find that there is smooth flow of traffic. Now, as Stretcher Road joins Nakawa around Spear Motors, there is where you're going to encounter traffic jam as you head into town, because right before Stretcher Road, you can see that there is a red zone over there. And as you continue along Kampala Jinja Highway, there is some bit of traffic at that intersection, but as you move along, traffic flow now becomes smooth. So if that's the route you're using, you may be in luck, and traffic may not hold you back for long. Now, from Port Bell Road, as New Port Bell Road, as it joins the main Jinja Kampala Highway, you'll find that it is actually smooth, and even people coming from New Port Bell Road, there is a smooth flow of traffic along that route as well. So you should be able to move steady fast. And as you continue along the Kampala Jinja Highway, you realize that there is still smooth flow of traffic this morning up until you reach the Kampala Jinja Road roundabout. Now, around there you will encounter a bit of traffic, but it is actually not intense, so you won't lose a lot of time over there. And even as you cross through, there is a bit of traffic coming in from Access Road, but still it is not much. And if you're coming to the side of Yusufule Road, the traffic flow over there is smooth. And still going back to Kampala Jinja Road Highway, it is still smooth even as you continue ahead to Kampala Road. So this is the heart of town, and if that's where you're headed, the roads look pretty clear. Of course, around Mawirizi complex, you will find a little bit of a traffic buildup. This is now the central business district, but still the traffic there is not worrying, at least as far as Kampala Road is concerned. I see many green zones along Kampala Road, so if that's where you're headed this morning, you are in luck. Well, that's it for our traffic updates this morning. My name is Olive Monica Najama. Chiraba Robert Nyonyintono will be coming up right next with the agenda, and later on Ruben Impima will be giving us sports updates. So if you're a sports fan, who lost, who won? Yeah, you will know more of that later on.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Juko.
Yo.
Hawachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda wange, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Nibanyita kananye niyita Sezi Nwagaba, commercial officer at Ntungamo District Government.
I am Sezi Nwagaba, the commercial officer for Ntungamo Local Government. I express my gratitude to God for this platform and the Myuga initiative brought to us by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, as it has positively transformed the lives of the people in Ntungamo, whom I have known for a long time. When you visit the beneficiaries of this program, you can easily witness the significant positive changes in their lives. The audit report demonstrates that despite their leader being deaf and blind, profits are being made, highlighting how this program has actively engaged and evolved every individual. Initially, we received 2,650 million Uganda shillings. Each constituency received 530 million Uganda shillings. I would like to express my gratitude to this platform for providing us with the opportunity to share information about the Imyoga program. Our special thanks go to the President for initiating the program, and additionally, I would like to mention that there are numerous similar projects in Rubare and Ntungamo.
This plan, as the name prescribes, is the project for restoration of livelihood in northern region. So it was designed to support the population in order to implement the national programs of wealth creation, improving household income, and this is done through supporting agriculture, and by supporting agriculture, you support seed production, training of farmers, mindset change, and even it went ahead to have components of food security grants, whereby families were given grants to be able to improve their food security. But there was also community-based natural resources grants, which were given to families to put in place woodlots, which would help them to reduce on killing the vegetation and deforestation looking for energy or for firewood.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning and thank you so much for being with us on UBC TV. This is Good Morning Uganda, your morning show that starts from 6:30 till the hour of 9 with a continuation of Good Morning Uganda Extra. I'm Robert Chirabonyonyi-Ntono and welcome to this particular segment, The Agenda, where we usually have a guest and you're part of the topic of discussion, but we look at issues that concern you. Now this morning we want to look at how to do research the modern way. Now, yesterday we saw His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni launching the second annual National ICT Fair. That was at Kolo Ceremonial Grounds. Now, this was promoting ICT and a garden of opportunities for young people who are looking for jobs, exchange programs, and all opportunities, internship to mention but a few. So it is still going on and it will be ending today. Now, in connection to that, we want to look at a modern way of doing research, which is carrying out digital research. Organizations, individuals have done research, and we're used to the traditional way of doing things. We have huge papers and then you move and all that, but there is a way we can do this better. And joining me on set to discuss this is the CEO, Mood Technologies, Ogwal Martin, the leading people currently who are doing digital research. Among others could also be doing the same. So we want to see what is this all about. The world has now moved into the area of ICT. Even when you just banking today, you don't have to go to the bank and all that. Even medicine, certain operations are no longer the cutting that we were used to. So now we want to see how best can we apply this when it comes to research. You're most welcome, Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Robert, and good morning, Uganda. Good morning, everybody. Actually, it's a great time to promote ICT in the world. It's good that Excellency is doing so as well. I'm proud of that. Yeah.
Actually, he looks at it as one of the 4 or 5 pillars that will cause socio-economic transformation in this country, Uganda.
Actually, after agriculture, it should be the second sector, I think.
Now, Martin, to begin with, when you talk about digital research or doing research using digital means, what are we referring to?
Yeah, we have research in non-digital form. That is the traditional way. You know, our great-grandfathers would write on stones to keep record. Also, at the same time, we moved into writing on different forms, tablets. We moved into books. But now we have technology. The ICT, just like you have said, has grown so much. So research is part of what moves life. Every time we grow, it's out of a research, out of finding what we were doing well and how to improve on it so that we can move forward. So doing it the digital way means that we are eradicating use of papers and use of a lot of materials and so on, and use technologies, latest technologies like smartphones, which can be adapted to carrying out research, and also improving on the speed of research by using capabilities of computers which have grown so much. So it has helped a lot. It has sped up a lot of research processes. It used to take maybe 2-3 years to do a research, but now we can do it in a week. Yeah.
Now, when you talk about being able to do research in a week, it takes me to understand how long or what does it require for someone who is going to conduct digital research?
Yeah, so conducting research can be broken into stages. There is the planning stage. So in that, you have to look at the resources, which community you're going to, what time is proper, and so on. So that may take, most organizations take about maybe 3 months to plan, and then executing it maybe 1 or 2 weeks to execute the research itself. So planning may take a bit of time, like about 3 months, preparing the questionnaire, mobilizing resources, organizing the logistics about transport, transportation, looking at recruiting of the team and so on. So tentatively, research, according to the current situation, the real execution takes about 1 to 2 weeks, or a long research would take a month or more. But basically, planning itself is what takes time. Yeah. Execution is much faster.
We know that research is very expensive. Many people will tell you we invest so much in research. Of course, it gives us so much and saves us so much. But are there any available ways of making research less expensive?
Well, we actually currently digital means are very much cheaper.
Sure.
Yes.
I would think they're more expensive.
No, it's a lot cheap. You see that traditionally you would be able to, I could take you back maybe like 20, 30 years ago. You would be able to print papers, send a team to the field to collect data, they come back. So another team enters the data, another team does what we call double data entry to cross-check errors and so on. And then you move on ahead to start the analysis process. So that was much longer. But nowadays, those stages are cut out. When you prepare your team, they have a smartphone, they have a tablet to collect data. This data can be uploaded to the server while they're in the field, and right away you get results analyzed. So you cut down a lot of cost. So the computers have grown in capability. It's much cheaper. So you only need a set of team who can go and interact with the community. And then you cut down a lot of costs. So one of the ways is that if you're still doing research the old way, it's a good time. You're investing a lot of money to do that. So you need to move to the digital means and use the latest technology to promote to reduce on the cost. But also looking at the cost itself, you talked of cost cutting. We have different methods of research. The most common one that normally people do is one-on-one, like I'm seated, we are talking. And of course it's the most expensive method, but it's the most effective. I could share with you other methods as well. We have if you go into a community and you want to do research with, let's say, farmers, or you're talking about mothers, you're talking about breastfeeding and so on, sometimes you may not need to send a team to go to these people. If they have access to phones, you do not need a smartphone as such, like I have a small feature phone here. This is called, you said it's a cartouche. Yeah.
The one His Excellency holds.
Oh, the Excellency owns this.
And yesterday he explained why he doesn't hold a smartphone, and told us if he needs something to know what is happening, he has the lady that keeps on updating him.
So the lady has a smartphone? Or?
Yes, the lady has a smartphone. It was, when I looked at it, it was actually an iPhone.
Okay.
But His Excellency?
Yeah,
explain why he holds that.
Why he holds this?
That is the phone he holds.
Okay, me, I have both, so maybe I could lend him one. Yeah, so most of our people in the community are like the Excellency, so they own phones like this. While for people who are more advanced, literate, and who have more money, they can have smartphones. So they have more features. So the second method of research which I was talking about is using USSD. So you know, people buy airtime. They dial a number, they have a choice to make. They go to the next one, they're presented with the next choice. So those ones can be harnessed. It's much cheaper to do that. So you do not need to send a team to the field. You do not need transport. You only need a team to program this and then have a code publicized. So people can go in and you can collect massive number of data within just a short time, maybe an hour or within a day or two. you'll have got thousands of responses if you advertise it well. And it is less cheaper. Normally research which is involving one-on-one costs about like per question, estimated based on a lot of things. It would cost around $15, which is around 60,000 Uganda shillings per questionnaire. So you're factoring in someone, you're paying the person who is going to do the interview. You're also at the same time paying transport. Then you need a community mobilizer whom you need to pay. And there are a lot of logistics around, and sometimes you have to give incentives to the respondents. So approximately one questionnaire costs around $15, so around 60,000. So you find that somebody doing 10 questions per day, that's around 600,000 you're spending per day to do research. So that's around like $150. So if you look at the alternative way of doing research using USSD, you could spend about $4 just for the phone calls, and maybe for the cases where you need to give incentives, you could send somebody airtime to appreciate them when they finish the interview.
Definitely.
So that would be like maybe $2. That's around what you're spending, like around 15,000 shillings per question. So that's another alternative. But we have many more means. If I can give more. We are looking at using SMS as well. We are still talking about the people who are having feature phones like the Excellency you said. So they can just receive an SMS, reply to it. The next SMS comes in form of a question, they reply to it until the interview is done. There are more I can continue.
Well, so that is evidence that is digital research, or the modern way of doing research, is cheaper and time saving, like you rightly said. While we are looking at doing research in the digital way, because we are saying the world is moving at a terrific speed. We can no longer spend time carrying out research the way we used to. And actually in school, the way we are trained, you know, the way you're going to carry out your research, the way you're going to do your dissertation, it is still the traditional way of doing things. But when you were speaking, you talked about using a smartphone.
Yeah.
So can I carry out an entire research with my normal smartphone?
That maybe two things I could factor in if someone wants to use their smartphone. The things that you have to look at is that do you have space in the phone to actually accommodate the app? I can tell you, I had a colleague, there's a lady who came and showed me that her computer was full. And I was like, okay, let's try to analyze what was consuming the computer. I found she had 80 gigabytes of WhatsApp messages. The computer ran out of space. So I said, what happens to your phone if the computer has run out of space? So people nowadays have a lot of communications. So and all these social media and so on fill up space. People are getting videos and so on being shared with them. So this fill up space. Of course, the phones are smarter to reach a certain capacity and cut you out.
Yes.
Yeah. So that it can at least work, make calls and so on. So one of the things you need to factor in is that, do you have space in your phone to conduct the research? And if you're an organization, okay, if you're an individual, that one you can manage, you can delete your pictures and some photos and videos and so on, and you continue. But if you're an organization, you wouldn't wish to go maybe to the phones of the people who are going to conduct interviews. It's better to hire tablets. It's much cheaper. Like currently we have tablets. I can
just like mine here.
I carried mine also. A tablet like this you would hire just for 10,000 shillings per day. That's around like $3 per day. But of course, somebody using a phone, the phone, you would save that cost. Though you know nowadays our young people, because they're the ones we use for collecting data, they have a lot of social media work, chats going on, people are sending them messages. So in the middle of the interview, somebody's using their phone and they get a message for a wedding meeting and so on. They branch a bit and read through. So you find that the interviews actually take much longer because they have to bridge in between reading the chat messages or attending to what is going on their phones, at the same time attending to the respondent. So you find that sometimes respondents would also get a bit fatigued on that, but it's cheaper. If you get people who are disciplined enough, it's much cheaper for them to use their phones to conduct a research. It all works. They have space. Then also at the same time, it has battery, which is enough to take you throughout the day. Sometimes we give what we have as power banks, which normally when people run out of battery, they can plug it in and charge. Like this one could charge like about 4 phones full in a day. So if you have such as well, so what we normally do is to package the two. The tablet like this takes about one day and some few hours beyond to conduct a research. If you're in a place where there is low power availability, it would help. So if you're conducting a research with your smartphone, you have to factor in that your battery can take you the whole day. Secondly, you have space. And of course, there's a discipline which has to be factored in that maybe you put off you put it to flight mode. Flight mode was used for...
So that you're not inconvenienced.
Yeah, it was used for aeroplanes, but now we can use it in the village as well.
Now, Ogwal, what happens in an area where there is no internet connection? Yes, government of Uganda has done so much as far as extending the cable network or the fiber network, but also in hard-to-reach areas, they have tried and they are doing much to apply satellite. But still, we have a long journey to go. So we have areas where if you get there, your smartphone may be, there is no reach of internet, it doesn't. So if I am to carry out this research, and maybe we have to go, sometimes organizations are doing research in very remote areas. They want to go and do something about the Batwa community, the Iki people, you know, where it's hard to find internet connection. So what does that mean? Does it mean that digital research cannot be done? Research can't be done using this modern method?
Yeah, so the digital research may not necessarily mean that you need to have internet constantly connected, or you need network for phones to do it. The apps, like the way we do, works offline. All you need is your phone and it has battery. It has power. So those are the only two things, which of course, they had to reach areas. It's okay, you charge your phone, go in, you have a power bank like I was showing, in case you do not charge your phone. But most of the time, we find that the people who are collecting data stays in a nearby center where they can access where to charge the phones, where to charge the tablets. We have got solar integration. A lot of communities have solar now to charge phones and so on. But basically, you do not need internet to collect the data. You need internet to upload what you have already collected. And that one, we normally advise that you do it in an evening after you have already finished all the interviews, when you get access to where there is network. If at all for 2-3 days you do not have access to internet because the community is having no coverage, it's fine. Whenever you get access to internet, you upload the data itself. So it is, you do not need to worry. Please feel free to go in those hard-to-reach communities. Like which one you say, the Batwa community?
The Iki people, the Batwa.
Oh yeah, so do not worry. Go to the Batwa, go and conduct your research. Come and we give you a tool.
Now that you've mentioned a tool, that brings me, are there specific softwares that have to be applied? If they are they affordable?
Yeah, the software comes in two ways. The software to collect data itself. Most of the software designed for collecting data they're normally free. The affordability part, that one you can put it aside. Now, the part that comes in is the skill. Do you have the skill to make it work? So that is where you need experts to actually help in programming these. So software like CS Pro, they're freely available. You need technical skill to program it. That's where you'll come and consult a team like our team to make sure this is working well. ODK, Survey CTO, all the software are available and they are what we call open source. They are free in the market. So you can go and download, program it if you have the skill, and go to the field and collect data. For effective research, you need experts who can handle that. So the affordability bit is a bit of bringing in the skill part of it. Yeah, so the software is free.
The software is free. Now, to what extent have Ugandans embraced this? We are good at embracing new things, but over your experience with Mood technology, organizations, companies, students, how have we really picked up this?
You know, you talked about the cost part of the research. So the people who have actually tried it once have never gone back. So Ugandans are adopting it so fast. The people who are not yet aware of the cost-saving bit in using digital means are the ones we need to reach out to. So the rate of adopting new technology is really growing fast. And also we have a lot of our youth nowadays want smartphones, of course for different reasons. Some of them want for connecting to friends, social and so on. But that is a good thing in that we can now adapt that to research. So the uptake of using digital means to do research is growing so fast. Worldwide, Uganda is part of that. So yeah, a good. I think in about maybe few years, 2-3 years, we shouldn't be seeing papers around print. We can save our environment. I see there is promotion for...
So much stationery goes into doing research, by the way.
Yes, a lot of printing, and it's not only that. You're spending on stationery, you're spending money on the printing, and so on. This is cost which you do not need. You have a smart tablet there, so all you need is to charge it.
All seems and sounds rosy, but let's look at some of the challenges. Definitely, I want to believe that they are when you're using a digital research. What could be or what are the challenges?
So one of the things is that you need the expertise, of course, to design this. And since you're going to be conducting research using a smartphone or a tablet, you need to train the team well. Because naturally, we love interacting. If somebody bridges between you and